the hands together like Go Team when they're about to make the charge.
I know exactly this one.
Inigo is there, and whatever that he is, either Andre the Giant or the Cyclops. I don't know if that was Krull or the Princess Bride. They sort of
Fezzik, Andre the Giant.
Yeah, okay, thank you. They look over at Carrie Elways to put his hand, but he's still paralyzed. So what he does is he jerks his shoulder over.
His whole shoulder
over, and his hand flops over like a fish. And everybody plays it completely straight. And when we got to the next scene, it's amazing. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Joy of Trek.
Hello and welcome back to Rebel Air, a Star Wars animated series. That's why I had the folder open, because I was going to just jump scare you with it.
Okay, that's a blast from the past. Yes, we're joined here by our chief engineer, Greg, because our my beloved co-host, Kay,
Kay's too good for us. Yeah. He's got a full Hollywood, you know.
He's on holiday. And because of the time vortex, that holiday can come before, after, or during other episodes that you have listened to, are listening to, or will listen to. It's really weird. We're like Doctor Who. We don't do anything in order. Look, listen, Greg, what are we doing this week?
More like, who are we doing this week? No. Okay. So we just read the story, Whispers, or no. We just read the story of Whispers. Okay, cool. That's good. So we just watched the episode of Whispers and discussed the episode of Whispers, DS9. But yeah. I looked and I couldn't find anything good, or I couldn't find anything.
Oh, that's not true. I'm sure that's not true. But like, we have specific requirements for DS9, right? We need to be between 3,000 and 5,000 words and PG rated. I'm sure there's loads of good stories still.
Well, I also can't filter in that spreadsheet at all. I cannot filter in that spreadsheet at all. It does not let me. Yeah. The filters have been broken forever. They've never worked for me.
Greg, I've
told you. I swear, I've told you.
Okay, if you told me that it is one of your deranged little sort of, you sometimes send sentences that are really hard to parse, Greg. I've been meaning to talk to you about this.
Oh yeah,
where like
you did think that I was just learning Vulcan.
Well, there have been situations because I'm suffering from the time vortex, right? So when you don't capitalize the word whispers, I forget that that's an episode that you were talking about. And there's just a verb in the middle of a sentence, and it's just this deranged, like, imaginings of a mentally like exploded person. No, okay, I will teach you how to do the filters on Archive of Our Own, because it has filters for the maximum and minimum word count and the PG. Should we do it right now? I'll do a quick search.
Cocky, because I have a deleted scene for Whispers. Screw like production stuff. I have a deleted scene for Whispers.
This is an unconventional move, as we like to say. Where
guess what? Like I'm mad with power. Kay's like, f***ed off and is having a nice little vacation. This just means that I'm mad with power.
Oh no! Then you do that because my microphone is falling off. It's sounding really weird. What? My little microphone, we're all sort of topsy-turvy.
What is this episode? We haven't even started.
We have. The recording light is on. The recording light is on. Like you had a deleted scene. So our deleted scenes are things that we imagine could have happened in the episode, and Kay and I usually do that as part of the episode. But you've got an ex post facto.
Yeah.
What deleted scene do you find?
Okay. I am not one to besmirch the good name of Benjamin Sisko as a father. He is an exemplary father, as we've seen throughout throughout the whole thing. And I know that was a very big point of pride for Avery Brooks.
But no one is ever perfect.
But what the happened in this episode? That basically my deleted scene is just that like Sisko is just too like he does not care this week. He's just taking a week off. So he's just like, oh yeah, like I'm not gonna tell my son about like not to like get too close to this like incredibly dangerous thing and let him just like be like that. It could be dangerous. It could be dangerous. Like we have no idea. Because Jake just keeps going to Miles and just like totally like just chill and like, oh yeah, like just like acting like everything is normal. And he's the only one that's acting normal, which means that he doesn't know. And it's like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you tell your son like you're the chief of like because like I'm I guess this isn't necessarily a deleted scene, but just like
I was going to say. So less of a question, more of a comment.
The deleted scene is
Okay,
it's just this episode, just from Jake's point of view, where he just sees everyone just acting strangely, and he's just like, huh, something's going on. I don't really know what's going. I don't really know. And then like halfway through, he finds out, and then just like all the color just drains, and he just like becomes incredibly paranoid. He's like, no, who's real? Who's real? And then just, like, they broke him.
Now I'm imagining that he institutes a monthly grievances session, first just with his dad, and he just goes through this list where, yeah, I can't help but notice that you big dog Ducat, and you said that you'd be willing to blow up this station rather than hand it over. I am on this station, so I just want to remind you, Father, my beloved father, do you forget that I exist sometimes? Now, in week 2 of this month, we're still in this month, yeah. You chose to have an orb experience that would take you out of this world rather than, once again, remain here with your child, who is me. I cannot stress this enough. I'm not at the point where I can, you know what I mean? In the same way that Picard forgets that he has a school on his ship that he's throwing about. No, we have to stop this comment. Oh no.
Or that Worf just forgets he has a son.
Yeah.
Repeatedly.
This is, of course, the writers doing the forgetting.
Oh, yeah.
So should have just a monthly reminder session where the various children in various spaceships remind the command crew that they exist.
So it's not going to be like Truman Show of like Jake of like Jake becoming entirely paranoid. It's going to be Dark City. It's going to be Dark City where he's like going through and just like piercing like the veil of reality itself, because Jake's just like, why would you tell me what's going on here? This is actually important for me to know.
He goes through the entire station, and he finds like the wall of a holosuite. Oh my god, what is it? It's all fake. And then Quark comes around. No, you're actually in the holosuite. I thought, why are we going in there? I haven't cleaned the cum off the emitters yet. Wash your hands, Jake.
Okay. We have to. We have stuff to do.
So, do we have a story that's maybe related, or that we can enjoy in between time, since we don't have a story specific to Whispers yet?
Yeah. So we do have a story. I did find one that I appreciated. It is a post series Enterprise.
Interesting.
So it's called Peace and Long Life by Ruchira.
We've done a Ruchira story before, I think.
I think we may have.
Yeah. Although, I'm seeing here in the notes, Ruchira says, I'm not the biggest fan of Enterprise, is the first sentence that Ruchira writes, so maybe not. I think it's underrated. Wait, what? I'm not the biggest fan of Enterprise. I think it's underrated and doesn't deserve all of the hate it gets. Oh, but it will never be my go-to Star Trek. There we go.
However, that's very fair. Like, that's a very fair, like...
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Everybody has their favorites. You don't have to like everything. However, I did watch it, and oh boy, did I get annoyed with the finale.
Yeah, it
Jump 6 years into the future with it has Riker in it, and I know there's much to be said about it.
I know this is Joy of Trek. I'm sorry. Even when I was a kid, I was watching. Like, I was disappointed because like I actually liked Enterprise a lot as a kid, and I was just like,
awesome.
What is this ending? It was like the first like disappointing ending I think I ever experienced.
Yeah, I don't have it in me to sort of deprogramming you from that experience, because it's a valid experience to have. But hey, Ruchira still has more to say. Ruchira,
yes, sorry.
Jump 6 years into the future with the last episode, end a relationship without an explanation why, kill Trip for no good reason, have Riker be the star of the series finale of a show he wasn't on. Come on. Okay, so you and Ruchira both need like a little session where the Joy of Trek puts
It's also killing Trip. Like,
look, after this episode, I'm going to put the wires on your head. You're going to put the dishes in the funnels for a while. Right? You know that dishes in funnel game that everybody wants you to play on The Next Generation? Here, Wesley, you have to play this game, says Mom. It'll make you come. And so what I did what I do, says Ruchira, and filled in some blanks. Greg, don't interrupt Ruchira, please. And filled in some blanks by going forward and going backwards in a short moment between friends. Thank you, Ruchira. Because 24 years after the founding of the Federation, wow, in the summary, a meeting between old friends. This story seems good as hell. 2185. Paris, Earth, United Federation of Planets.
President Jonathan Archer didn't even have to pretend to be surprised when the intercom chimed. That was a little jump scare.
I do the sound effects. Didn't we tell you this, Greg?
Send her in, he said automatically, not even giving his aide an opportunity to tell him what the message was about or who was there to see him. She was nothing if not predictable.
He set the pad down as the door slid open. Admiral, he greeted with a nod.
Mr. President, Admiral T'Pol replied, with a nod of her own.
Please have a seat, he said, gesturing to the couch in the corner in his office as he rose from his desk. Can I get you anything?
Tea, if it's not too much trouble, T'Pol replied politely as she arranged her robes to sit. She was in traditional Vulcan robes instead of her uniform. He'd ask why, but he knew without asking that she wouldn't give him much in the way of an answer.
I wonder if she's also wearing that dope sort of kidney bean hat.
It's kind of stupid, but I kind of love it.
Look,
like
that's
it is both. It is both. Like
that's a stupid hat, but I do kind of really works. He got her a tea and another coffee for himself before taking the seat across from the couch. How's Tala?
She is doing well, T'Pol replied. And Henry?
Also doing well, he replied with a wry grin. He never thought he would be one of those men who, at his age, would have a 46-year-old wife and 8-year-old son, but compared to Paul, who was nearing 100 and with a 15-year-old daughter, he considered himself still on the young side of inappropriately old parenting. Okay. Whew. Of course, Paul barely looked any older than she had when the Enterprise was decommissioned 24 years before, and he often felt every one of his 73 years. Thank you, Ruchira. I was doing the math in my head.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. Yeah.
He's become quite the historian, and not afraid of putting his old man in his place when I get things wrong.
A diplomat in the making, no doubt, T'Pol observed. Archer chuckled as he took a sip of his coffee and allowed the companionable silence to take over.
He didn't remember when he realized that these visits were scheduled, to her and by her. It started on the first anniversary of Trip's death and continued every year since. They saw each other at other occasions throughout the years. His promotion to admiral, her promotion to captain, her wedding, his retirement, her getting her own command, his wedding, her promotion to admiral, his ambassadorship to Andoria, several other occasions that were slipping his memory, but these visits were different. She always came to him, whether he was in San Francisco, Andoria, or now in Paris, and he let her set the agenda and lead the conversation. Sometimes they talked about Trip, sometimes they didn't. Last year was almost entirely about how he felt being elected president of the organization he helped found.
We are moving back to Vulcan, she said in an even conversational tone, as if they were discussing the weather or the current Tellurite political climate, but he almost dropped his mug in surprise.
You are? He asked dumbly. She raised an eyebrow.
I will be serving as the head representative of Starfleet on Vulcan, she said simply. I've spent most of my adult life either living on Earth or surrounded by humans, and it is difficult to provide Tala with a traditional Vulcan upbringing on Earth.
Oh, I wasn't aware you were providing a traditional Vulcan upbringing, he observed. She raised her eyebrow again, but didn't respond to that. Well, he said a moment later, it sounds like a good opportunity for you. And no Vulcan has more experience with Starfleet than you.
Indeed, she agreed. Sken has found teaching at Starfleet Academy to be intellectually stimulating, but he is looking forward to resuming his research on Vulcan mysticism at the Institute. It is much more his pace.
Oh, I like that. I like that expression. Archer grinned at... Oh, okay, sorry, I've got to think about this for a second. Much more his pace, like for her to use that phrase, she's not saying how you would put it, but like she's so familiar with presumably English or Starfleet Standard or whatever it is. Like, I think this is very familiar to people with varying degrees of like multilingualism.
Yeah,
that sometimes
kind of like code switching or like the bad representation of bilingual people is like, yes, and I can just like, yes, like just well, that
slip in
word
some
means
slang.
means this, and really, it's like no, like you're trying to remember what the word for this is, and you can't remember what it is, and you're driving crazy because you're just like, I know what it is in this language. That doesn't help me now. We're not
Yeah.
speaking that.
Yep. But specifically, like when there's a phrase or a word that just doesn't exist in the other one, there's a huge lexical gap, and it's filled with exactly this. Like this one I use a lot in Dutch, like the mouthfeel of a word or a sentence, and in Dutch you would say dat bekt lekker. Bekken is a verb based on beak or muzzle, like for an animal. So that just snouts better.
Yeah, like that.
And even like explaining it so clumsily, you can sort of feel like, yeah, I do need to say that sometimes, and I never do because I don't have something for it in English.
Well, like because we were talking earlier before, like there's the face in need of a fist, which man, there's so many people. There's so many people that need that right now. Anyway.
Yep. And okay. So it is much more his pace. Archer grinned at that. He had only met T'Pol's husband a few times in the last 18 years they had been married. Their relationship was an unusual one, even by Vulcan standards. Sken's first wife had become a Cyrenite. Oh, I think we know that that's T'Pol's mother was a member of that organization.
Yeah, okay.
Underground, okay. So Sken's first wife had become a Cyrenite and had died at T'Karth Sanctuary. Oh, along with T'Pol's mother. Sken and T'Pol had independently studied the Cyrenites and Surak in an effort to understand what it was that their loved ones believed in, and their paths crossed for the first time 3 or 4 years after the Enterprise's mission ended. Archer wasn't privy to the details of their courtship, if you could call it that, but they ended up married and had a teenage daughter together and were still together, so something must be working for them.
I regret the distance between Trip and myself after Elizabeth's death, T'Pol said abruptly. Archer blinked in surprise. T'Pol brought up Trip as often as not in these annual meetings, but she never mentioned Elizabeth, not even when they were on Enterprise. The last time he brought her up was the first time he brought her up, when T'Pol returned to duty 2 days after Elizabeth's memorial. He offered her more time. She had coolly replied that it was illogical to continue to dwell on something that could not be changed, and there was no point in discussing it any further.
Oof. I always wondered what happened between the two of you, Archer said cautiously. He had been taken aback when the two had started dating. That word didn't seem to describe their relationship, yet he couldn't think of one that fit any better, because it seemed to come out of nowhere. The two had sniped at each other since they had first met. He couldn't even point to a time that had changed into mutual respect, much less any sort of romantic feelings. He'd been surprised when it had advanced to that point, and now that he had the benefit of the distance of years and the wisdom of age, he could admit that there was more than a little jealousy. Trip had been his best friend, T'Pol his closest confidant, and, at one point, the object of his desire. Do you think he's talking about Trip or T'Pol or both?
I think he's talking about Night at Sickbay when he's the sexiest advertisement they're trying to do.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Elizabeth had died as abruptly as she had come into existence, and the relationship between Trip and T'Pol had seemed to die with her.
When Dr. Flock said that there was no reason to believe that humans and Vulcans could not have viable offspring, there was pressure in our relationship to make a decision. Oh, this is T'Pol speaking. Oh. We had not considered children or marriage before Elizabeth was created. Both of us were focused on Enterprise's mission. We had decided to take a break from our romantic relationship while we considered the implications of such a decision would have on our careers. In the end, we agreed that children were not in our immediate future.
He frowned. He hadn't considered what should have been completely obvious, not even once in the last 30 years. If Elizabeth hadn't died, he began slowly, would you have stayed on Enterprise?
Oh, this is good. Enterprise was not an appropriate place to raise a child, T'Pol said matter-of-factly. He knew she was right. There had been a version of them in an alternate future that had done just that, but that had been out of necessity. If Elizabeth hadn't died, she would have stayed on Earth, and based on how obvious it was that both of her parents had loved her very much, they would have stayed with her.
He would have lost his chief engineer and his science officer, but would still have his friends.
Aww.
If Trip had left Enterprise when Elizabeth was born, created, cloned, he wouldn't have died saving Archer 6 years later.
He wondered where they would have raised her. Would she have grown up in Florida, repairing boat engines at her father's knee? Or maybe in San Francisco, where the engines she would have learned to work on would have been much larger and much more powerful? Would they have raised her as a human or as a Vulcan? Would she have grown up to be an engineer like her father, or a scientist like her mother, or an artist or a musician or a politician?
He could see them now. Trip seated next to T'Pol on the couch, that sly grin on his face, T'Pol giving him that side eye that she always had. Elizabeth would have been 30, a lieutenant, maybe lieutenant commander in Starfleet, if she had followed in her parents' footsteps. On a layover on Earth, taking a break from her job as an engineer, maybe chief engineer of a Federation starship, E. Tucker embroidered on her uniform her father had once had C. Tucker.
Wow.
Except they had changed the uniforms again. They had stopped wearing their names in the uniforms more than 20 years ago.
Would they have had more kids, maybe, at Charles Tucker IV? Would they have gotten married or stayed married? Marriage was hard enough without adding cultural differences, and the two were often at loggerheads, even when they were in a relationship. Would they have stayed together for 30 years? They seemed to have loved each other, at least to try to make it work. But relationships take more than good intentions.
I still miss him, he admitted.
As do I, she replied. She sat her mug on the coffee table between them and rose. Thank you for your hospitality, Mr. President. We will be settled on Vulcan soon. I hope that you'll be able to visit. Please bring Amira and Henry as well.
I should be that way in a few months, he said, also rising to his feet. Thanks for stopping by. Give my best to Sken and Tala.
She gave a single nod and raised her hand in a Vulcan salute. Peace and long life.
He mirrored the gesture. Live long and prosper, T'Pol.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was really beautiful.
It's very
Good
like bitter.
pick.
It's very bittersweet in like a very like just kind of cathartic, like bittersweet way.
Yeah, because this is what happens when you live long. You accrue these experiences, and you have more sad memories, also more joyous memories, and you can imagine more alternatives. This was beautiful. Yeah. Well done, Ruchira.
Yeah, beautiful, really story. Really thought it was fantastic. So I was sorry
about all the weird stuff we said about common hollow emitters and spending more time talking about the Princess Bride than about your amazing story.
Oh, we are our own worst enemy. I swear.
I love that it's we, and that it's not that you don't place it squarely on my shoulders. Like you've come far, Greg.
I mean, how else do you think it's going to get on the emitters?
No, I haven't had enough of this. Beverly.
I'm leaving Starfleet.
I'm also leaving Starfleet. Energize!
We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode with your friends Kay and Kaki. Production, editing by Chief Engineer Greg, and music by Fox Amore. Join us next week for the Vulcan Hello Discovery 101. Visit joyoftrek.com/links to send us recommendations, support us on Patreon, or to find us on Blue Sky. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to The Joy of Trek, and we'll see you out there.